Well, first, some background information is in order. At the council work session of January the 31st, City Administrator Wilkinson stated, quote, "We're trying to find a respected law firm in the state where the city has had very limited business with them. So it would be an independent law firm. With this particular firm, we only have done some bonding with them, and that's it. So we haven't had really any dealings with them on any other matters." Now, what Wilkinson very most conveniently failed to disclose is that while the city of Yuma may not have had any dealings with them on any other matters, Wilkinson, as the president of the governing board of Yuma Elementary School District Number 1, had extensive dealings with them. And that work included a broad range over a period of years, from bonding services to reviewing teacher and employee contracts to representing the district in court. And they even represented Wilkinson as a named defendant in Yuma County Superior Court. Yet Wilkinson, with a straight face, insisted we haven't had really any dealings with them on any other matters. Now, when confronted with his disingenuous failure to disclose his knowledge of and certainly his prior association with the firm, he resorted to the duplicitous dodge of telling us that, well, he had gone out into the community and solicited names from various attorneys, and then we're told that they came up with 2 names, and following that, 3 local attorneys unanimously suggested Gus Rosenfeld. That's according to the Yuma Sun, March 26th. Now, when asked to respond to a public records request and provide the names of the various attorneys, and the 3 attorneys in particular, it was a standard stock answer: there are no documents to fill this request. Perhaps some of the local attorneys reside up on the 3rd floor of One City Plaza, because what has not been discussed or disclosed or brought out to light to this point is the fact that David Penartz, the crackerjack investigator with Gus Rosenfeld, is himself a former city attorney. He is the former city attorney for the city of Scottsdale and a former deputy city attorney for the city of Glendale. So, as fellow members of the Arizona City Attorneys Association, the ACAA, how well do the city's legal beagles up on the 3rd floor know Mr. Penartz? Could it be that further disclosure is in order? Now, it's established fact that Gus Rosenfeld was no stranger to Wilkinson and certain members of city staff, and we know that Wilkinson hired the firm before the council ever even voted to investigate, and we know that a good number of the accusations against the mayor have been made by the neutral Wilkinson. So how then could any reasonable thinking person consider this to be a fair and impartial investigation? Now, Stewart's motion on the 18th stated, quote, "I move to invoke the powers of the Yuma City Charter to investigate the allegations of mayoral misconduct and any other relevant allegations. I further move to direct the city administrator to provide counsel with the name of a law firm to provide independent advice and assistance to the city council for that investigation." End of quote. Now, clearly, the motion was only to provide the name of a law firm, not the hiring of a law firm. And it was simply to reconsider it on the 25th and put it on the regularly scheduled council meeting of February 1st. Folks, throughout this entire process, nowhere, ever did the city council approve, and that's the requirement, This all has to be subject to the approval of the elected body, and nowhere in this process to this point has that approval been given. Now, before moving on to the meeting of February 1st, where absolute bull-face, irrefutable violations of the state open meeting law took place, perhaps we should revisit Point of Order Johnson's rancorous rant at the meeting of January the 18th. Now, Johnson, calling for a point of order, which he is so often prone to do, stated that, quote, "The city charter, city ordinances, and state law specifically prohibit city council members from participating in a vote or discussion of matters in which they have a personal interest. Certainly, Mayor Krieger has a personal interest in this item." End of quote. Now, apparently, Councilman Johnson was secure in supposing that he had lined up sufficient votes against the mayor. Now, folks, please, follow this very, very closely. Because at this point, rather than raging against the mayor, Point of Order Johnson should be thanking him. He should be expressing his everlasting gratitude, because it takes a minimum of 4 votes, a simple majority, to pass a motion. Now, the motion failed on a 3-4 vote, with council members McClendon, Thomas, Brooks, and Mayor Krieger voting nay. Now, discounting Mayor Krieger's vote, as per the insistence of "I'm the final authority Johnson," the count would then be 3-3, but with the motion still failing because of a tie vote. But, which in this case, there would be no prevailing side to move for a reconsideration. Folks, game over. No investigation. No more open, continuing, festering wounds in the community. No, not really. Not really at all. Because even with a no prevailing side tie vote, Johnson, Wilkinson, and company would have plotted yet another ploy, even though it would not have been in the best interest of the community. Because the clowns lost sight of what's best for the community long ago. And now their true aim is self-evident. Their own petty-minded, aggrandizing self-interest. Now, folks, that's all for Part 1. And in Part 2, we will continue to provide information and documentation to show that what was supposed to be a fair and impartial investigation was anything but, and that all of the violations of the state open meeting law, the city charter, and the city code can point right back at the accusers. Now, come back and see us, and the wonderful part of this is modern day technology now allows me to take all the time that's needed to give you all the information you need, and it's not subject to the City Hall throwing the switch on their 5-minute time clock. Is this a great country or what?